Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where we are currently looking at the Atlantic Ocean for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. I started up the game and apparently we're here. I don't really have an explanation, but we did have a bit of a breakthrough a couple of episodes at this point, up over here. But the more important story right now is this front is coalescing. That's okay. They are grouping together into a singular front. This area over here is a lost cause. That's fine for now. We have forces arriving over this direction. And their mission is to come down over here and eliminate Mexico. Once that's done, they're going to be redirected up over this direction to start taking this front. So that seems relatively fine. Now, we've got the European theater over here, and this breakthrough is bad for us. There's no doubt about it, but the good news is our forces are beginning to arrive over here. We need to get that dealt with, and the American theater is going to have this army brought into it, and that army is at 24 of 24. We're just waiting for some of those forces to filter their way over. Now, in the African theater, this army is weak. That's got 11 tanks only, and we absolutely need to do something about that. So, out of curiosity, out over here, yeah, these guys just need to spread out. Fair enough. That's absolutely fine for now. We don't have any tanks there, and I don't know if I commented on this at the end of last episode. I dropped our recruitment down to 48 divisions. I'm probably going to drop it again here. Yes. Let's bring this down to 24 divisions under recruitment at any given time. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just wondering, yeah, there's some of these that are not having any progress at this moment. So I want to get rid of some of these. The question is, how many is that? Perfect. That's 24. Okay, so that sounds good. So we're down to recruiting 24 and 24 at this point. Our armies are more sane. I'm not going to call them sane, but they're more sane. Now we've taken huge losses, particularly in Europe. That's absolutely understood, and honestly to be expected. We're making gains over this way, though, and that's a good thing to note. No doubt about that. This is undefended. Let's just, wander on up over here. Something like that. Okay, so that seems fine. We can absolutely do that, and we just need to get some time here for these forces to make their way over. Once that happens, we should be able to get Mexico fairly crushed, in theory. And over here in Africa, we're still waiting for our forces to get situated. It's going to take some time, and there's absolutely going to be some chaos going on over here. That is understood. For the moment, it's reasonably fine. These guys are still working on arrival out over here, and it's going to take them a while to get here yet. So this encirclement over here is a threat, no doubt about it, and they were trying to cut us off over here. That's not going to happen. We do have 2 tank units here. Those are part of the messy theater. I don't think they can get out. I don't even know what they're doing there, to be honest. How did they get here? I don't know. It's fine. So as we can see, we've been taking losses over in Odessa. This is not surprising. We're just kind of dug in over here. We're just delaying as much as we can with the messy theater. That's the goal of the messy theater, is just delay, delay, delay for right now. That's the idea. Because we're getting to the point where we're going to turn this war on its head very, very soon. Forces are arriving-ish out over this way. The real danger right now is out here. We need to get this European theater under control over here, specifically this line. And, I mean, this is going to be a bit dangerous for us over here to Rostov. But I don't think there's too much that they can actually do about it. We just need to stop them from going too much further here, and we have forces on the way up over there. So that should be reasonably fine. Now, we've got 153 political power at this moment, and we absolutely want to do a propaganda effort if we can. Bolster Spirit would deal with the bombing. Actually, yes, let's do that. So we'll get that going, and our forces are now beginning to arrive down over here. By no means are they all here, but they're beginning to arrive. So that looks good. Now, at this point, I want to grab the army that is currently, I think that's this army. Yeah, this is in the Messy Theater, and we're going to move this into the American Theater. Now, I can see that we've apparently lost a tank unit and an infantry unit on the way over. This might be due to naval raids. I don't know if that can actually take out a full unit or not. Maybe it can. But we definitely suffered a few losses there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and then we're going to have them forget about this. We're going to assign them to this front line and forget about this. So we're going to have forces arriving here, and this overall unit here, the army group, is going to be offensive lining something kind of like this. And they can go ahead and start executing that whenever they're ready. So we'll get that going, and hopefully we won't lose too much territory there as these guys move their way in. But we know that we need a tank unit and we need an infantry unit. Now we've got plenty of infantry units. I'm just going to assign this guy here, like that. So that's not an issue. This up over here, it's continuing to be an issue, but we're working on delaying that. And our forces are starting to make their way around this bend up over here. Okay. And we're even starting to push them back a little bit over here in some of these areas. Some. But we absolutely need to get more troops out over here. And they're on their way. So we'll be arriving over there soon enough. Now, they're starting to make their way to our fallback line here. The real danger at this point with our fallback line is that we're still a ways away from getting these supply depots done. Those are going to be done in about a month. So we're going to have to just try to hold on this line. Now, we do have pretty high-level forts out over here. So this line should be pretty well forted. I do want to go through and behind the queue. I'm not going to do it down here necessarily, but particularly up over in this way, I want to add in a little bit of extra fallback area over here, just in case we get pushed back. I'm going to do something kind of like this. The problem with doing it down here is we can't guarantee that we're going to have all of that territory for too much longer. So we're just going to do down to like this river or so, and we'll call it good there. Okay, so there's our fallback positions. We just need to have our troops actually get into position over here, right? And if we choose this army group, we can see we've got a lot of forces that are still not there. No doubt about it, that's going to take some time. If we go out over here to the American Theater and we check out this, we can see there are some forces still on their way over. No doubt about it. But we do have forces arriving out over here. And that's a very, very big deal. So the real question is, are we going to have any of these areas undefended as more forces work on arriving? We'll see. But for now, the real danger really persists out over this way. This is where the real danger absolutely is. We are beginning... Oh, we don't have anybody over here right now. If they cut this off, that's a problem. This force is here, so that's something. It's not much, but it is something. We really, really want to have some forces out over this way. And where are they? These guys aren't going there. So who is? Okay, that's a giant mess, and I don't know where exactly they're going. But we have some forces coming through here, and that's semi-reasonable. So we don't actually need to garrison all the way along here. And to that end, I want to grab this unit, and I want to change this front line. Because for now, it doesn't need to go this far down. Where's the modification? Here's the modification button. So we can have that just come down for now to here. Okay, so our forces are slowly making their way up. And we'll see about pushing them out of these areas, hopefully. And not letting them make their way all the way to here. This would be really bad if they made their way to here. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would be certainly extraordinarily problematic for us. Luckily, we do have forces heading up there through that area, but they're just kind of passing through right now. This is... I'm not sure who is destined to go here. This is apparently Army 48 that is destined to go here. And they are... Okay, High Steel series, I don't need to update you right now. Go away. We do have forces making their way up, so that is noted. Looks like we've lost one infantry unit. That is this guy. No, wait, that's a tank unit. It goes here. This is an infantry unit as well, so that's going to need to go there for right now. Now, we do need to have a bunch of tank units. We need 14 in total. So, can we deploy any tank units at this time? The answer is no. Okay. So if they push through here, that is very, very bad for us. And we really want our infantry to make their way up here a lot faster. Unfortunately, they're moving pretty slowly. Our tanks are just kind of passing through this area, and we can see now, yeah, they're really, really close here. It's taking us so long to get here, unfortunately. But we are working on it. Slowly. Very slowly. How are things looking out over here? Okay, so we can see that they've managed to push out. This was a concern here, but I'm actually not that concerned about it, as long as our forces actually get around to arriving over here, right? And we would like to certainly consider launching some attacks, but for the time being, I'm okay with this. We knew that this was likely going to be a problem, and we also know that we need to get more forces down over here. So I'm going to motorize this supply hub, and I'm going to motorize this supply hub, just in case. And we don't have anyone up over here right now. Eventually, our forces will arrive in these areas, but not for a while, it seems. So we're still making our way over there. This is still a major, major concern over here, but it looks like our infantry are beginning to make their way in over here to their station points. And that's extraordinarily good. So, we need to look at supplies out over here. Stalingrad should be motorized more. And Rostov down over here apparently doesn't have a connection. Interesting. Because this rail line here was broken. Okay, so we're going to run this rail line up to here, like this. And then, as far as everything down over here goes, I want to make sure that this is level 5 rail connecting this to our capital, and it should be, although this needs to be connected up over here, just to be on the safe side. And we can run a line out over, like, this direction, again, just to be on the safe side. So that looks fine for the moment, and then we can make sure that this is set to motorized, this is set to motorized, this should be set to motorized. This should be set to motorized. What else do we have over here? This is already on motorized, and that seems reasonably fine-ish. Okay, so we do have forces out over this way. We're going to be pushing over here eventually. They have a lot of forces in this area, though. Like, a crazy amount of forces. So, at this time, now that we've basically got our forces here, I'm going to start, as a low priority, building up defenses here, because I do not want to get pushed back any further. Now, our civilian factories are currently fully strained, and that's understood. But we're just going to push our way through this. We've lost a lot of civilian factories. That's not a surprise. But I do want to make sure that any areas over here that we can build land forts in, we do. Because I don't want to get pushed back any further than this. Okay, so something along the lines of that for right now. This is cute. Okay, beautiful. So it's still extraordinarily high priority that we get these done. That is much higher priority than all those land forts. So we'll just do something like that for right now. Okay, so that's underway. And then we need to be thinking about the order in which we're doing these. So, if these are fallback points, I don't even know where this is. Okay. If they're fallback points, I don't necessarily want to be building them right now, but we do have this base in Somaliland that I don't think is high priority. Let's move that down. And then we've got all of this out over here that we'd really like to get built. And I think that we need to move up these in priority. And have at least some amount of land port over here. Okay, these I don't need to move up. So now what we need to do is we need to make sure that all of our rail and logistics is actually getting built. And it was, but we want to make absolutely certain of that. So something like this. That'll get us some land forts coming in over here. And with any luck, we'll be able to stop the advance over here. And how are things going over this direction? Okay, we have forces arriving over here. I want to grab these guys. This is only... Okay, I feel like we're a little bit overkill up top, but what I want to do then is I want to make sure that we push in from the top. More like this. Okay, so we'll get going on that. And we'll see what we can do here. Defending down over here is good, but it's not of vital importance. We can give up a little land down here if we need to. So that seems relatively fine. Okay, so we're just pushing through over here. I want to check in on the status of these tanks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and deploy the tanks. I'm not going to deploy the infantry. They're not available anyway, but even if they were, I wouldn't deploy them. So these tanks are going to go into the overflow theater for now, but we're going to want to select half of these. I'm going to move them into the African theater over here. And then we're going to grab an additional unit of tank here. That goes here. And then one additional unit of tank. And that is going to go... Where was that? Here, in the American theater. Okay, so now all of our theaters are maxed out again, and that seems good. We've got some units in our overflow, so that seems good too. Now these guys, it's going to take them some time to get situated here. They only just arrived after coming in very, very rapidly. So that's understood. We are going to start getting some defensive lines set up over here, although we can see we're losing some of these defensive battles over here, which is not necessarily ideal. These are not necessarily as spread out as we'd like them to be. Okay. If we end up losing a position or two here and there, it's not that big of a deal. But they have a lot of forces over here, right? They've got 196 divisions right here. That's understood. So that is absolutely fine for now. Now, these guys over here, they're in a, I think, slightly better position to push in, but also kind of a slightly worse. So we know that supplies are a pretty significant issue out over here. And is there much that we can do about that? Not really. It's just that this breakthrough here was pretty bad for us, all things considered. So that is noted. Okay, so these guys up over here, they're problematic for sure. If we look at our construction here, we can see that these are going to be done on 4 June. So that's only a little while away. So that's a good sign. Now, down over here, we are still waiting on forces to arrive in these areas. That's going to take time. Our cipher has been broken. That's understood. Whatever. We've got more forces on the way in over here. So that seems relatively okay. Down this direction, this war is pretty this battle is pretty unchanging here. There's not been a lot going on over here. That's part of the messy theater. We don't really care all that much. Although, this could be a significant thing. This could be very significant, actually. Commit to this. Another 3 days. Now 4 days. Now 6 days. Okay, that's not necessarily ideal. Less than a day? Okay, so we're now here. This is a better position for us because now they don't have anywhere to retreat to. They can't regenerate down over here. We can just attack pretty consistently. So that seems great. Now, as far as all of this goes, we do have forces slowly getting into position over here still. We appear to have lost Rostov. Okay. So with that in mind, these two army groups are essentially going to be one front, right? So with that in mind, I'm going to grab this and we're going to alter this fallback line. The fallback line is now going to be here, like this. So we're going to pull back here. And then this is going to become, once they're done pulling back, this is going to become a front line. We're abandoning this little area here. But otherwise, it should be reasonably fine. In theory. We just need to get our forces out of here. But them linking up over here is not great for us, that's for sure. So that's absolutely understood, and this is bad too. Okay, so this is essentially going to become, I'm going to group together the Anatolian theater and into the European theater, and this is all kind of going to become one front line. The main problem is that I don't think that there's a good way to do all of this on a single army group, like a single order, with this being one unified front. So that means that we're going to have very, very awkward setups here. So these guys need to try to pull back. So I'm going to have these go to a fallback line, and that is going to be a fallback line that is going to be... Just thinking about how we want to set this up. Just right about here, or so. So we're going to pull those back. And this whole army group should be assigned to this. We're going to disable these orders. Kind of like that. And these guys are going to try to get out of there. We'll see how much we can do. And then, as far as this goes, as soon as the autosave is over, there we go. We'll grab these guys, and I want to alter this front line to not be like this. Get out of that little pocket, and instead bring it to right here for now. Okay, so we'll start pulling back out of this. Now, these guys are really awkwardly set up. And there's a lot of forces then. So they don't really know what to do here, and we really want to push them out into here, right? But there's a lot of forces right here. So we might be better off, actually, trying to push to here. And then get out by sea. Come on up here, if you can. Or these might get stack wiped, which would be fine. We just need to get these fronts consolidated and stabilized, right? So at this point, I want to grab these guys who have mostly, actually, they all managed to get out of there. That's great. I want to get rid of all orders, and they are now going to be frontlining this. But that front line is huge, and this is not the front line we actually want them to have. So we're going to need to edit this front line, and that's currently down here. Because to my knowledge, there's no good way to actually do this. So we want their front line to be here instead. Okay, so that'll be relatively fine. Their front line goes to here, and then this front line I'm going to edit as well. So we need to come in here, and the front line needs to be to here, which should... I don't know that that's quite connected. Regardless, it'll be okay for now. Okay, so we've got that semi under control. Now, as far as this goes, we'd really, really like to have this successfully be attacked here. And get these troops out of here. We could also try to build a naval base here, but I doubt we'll get that done in time. Any moment you guys want to not be in combat here, that would be great. So we're just going to head back over this direction. And yeah, I don't think we're actually going to get this. So, this fallback line over here is what it is, pretty much. These guys are trying to make their way back. But these two fronts collapsing together is quite bad for us, and we need to try to get out of it. So that's understood. I'm actually going to extend this front line back out, I think, and we can have this front line be to right here. Okay, for now, you can stay there. You can stay here. You can stay here. Just to buy us a little bit of time. Why don't you come on out over to here? Okay, so that's understood. These guys are unfortunately pocketed here now, so we're going to lose some troops here. That's fine. I'm not actually that concerned about it. So this army here is going to have some significant losses. I should have pulled them back earlier. That's very clear. Okay, so that's relatively fine. It's going to take them some time to clean all of this up, but they absolutely are going to. And there's not too much that we can do about it other than just try to set up at this fallback line. So, I do want to make sure that this fallback line has some defenses constructed. Same with this over here. Let's make sure that that's got some defenses going. Out over here is good. Okay. And then down this direction, we can get some defenses there, and then some defenses down this way for now. Something kind of like this. But it's going to be tough. We're definitely going to have to get that organized. Now, let's check in on what's going on in Mexico. Things are looking better for us in Mexico. That's for sure. So let's continue to push on down here. And that looks great for the moment. We should have our forces nearly getting there, but the European theater, specifically what used to be the Anatolian front, is going to need a lot of work, particularly in the infantry department. No doubt about that. So let's go into our overflow theater, and let's start getting some of those moving. We're going to need 14 total units here. So 13 and 14. There we go. Those are going to go into, oh wait, that's 10? Okay, sure. They're going to go here for now. So that's going to be 16 units, and then we're going to need one of each. That's going to go here and here. There we go. And then we need 8 additional. How many do we have here? 40. So that's not a concern. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so they're going to go here. And then we need a bunch of tanks. So that's understood. This is 10 tanks, and that is enough to fill out this army. But we need another 14 tanks for here. Okay. So this is needing tanks as well in the American theater. Noted. This is probably due to crossing, but that's fine for now. Okay. So we're continuing to push into Mexico here, and that looks very good, actually. We might be able to get Mexico City fairly early. Them pushing out is actually bad for them here. So that's going to get redirected up to this front, and we'll probably absorb what remains of this army. We'll see what remains of that soon enough. But it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to see about continuing to push this out and consolidate this front out over here. This is going to become one singular front across this entire thing, and it's going to be a huge mess. So we're going to have to keep up with where these change their current positionings. So that's going to be exciting. You can leave your offerings. Hang on, I just remembered these supply hubs, they're done. Let's get those activated before we do anything else. Okay. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Roarnaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.